Music throughout Western history has always formed a unified culture between its listeners. Ergo, it has been a tool of socio-political communication, both deliberately and unwittingly, from the Middle Ages onward. From church music, to court composers, to battlefield hymns, to national anthems, to socio-political music movements like punk and Latin rock. This form of communication has been the key for the masses to understand and access much information through the Middle Ages up till the current era.
Who took the bomb?
To elucidate, we need to start from the history of Western music notation that is used to this day. Much of the medieval development of music notation happened through the church, most of the music being written were choral hymns. In a society where most people were illiterate, this was one of the most common ways to gain access to religion. A perfect example is the Georgian chant named after the Pope Gregory the Great. It is important to note that the Catholic Church was very much a political entity in Europe at the time, and this communication was as much political as it was religious. However, with the arrival of the Renaissance and Baroque eras, music started being written and performed outside of religious purposes. Thus, the patronage of music shifted from the church to the aristocracy. Through this shift, there is still substantial evidence of socio-political communication. Firstly, hiring a composer was a luxury and communicated a prestige in society. Secondly, hired composers were able to create and cement many social traditions of the era. A perfect example is many dances, such as the waltz or the quadrille, which took place in many European functions from the 1700s to the late 1800s. Thirdly, composers were also hired to create battle pieces, such as the Te Deum by Handel and Beethoven's Wellington Victory. During the 1900s, the practice of court composers for political reasons declined. However, due to the birth of the USSR and the resolution of 1932, a stronger kind of propaganda music was growing in Russia. The resolution helped form the Ministry of Culture and the Union of Soviet Composers. Aspiring composers and musicians who needed the financial backing of the Communist Party had to join the USC. The organization had to approve the compositions before publication. This allowed the Communist Party to ensure that the music reflected Soviet ideals. Examples of this are found in Prokofiev's music and Sviridov's music. Sviridov specifically used Russian folklore inspirations in his music. And because of the Soviet ban of non-Soviet entertainment, specifically Hollywood, most music the Soviets could enjoy was one that communicated state propaganda. During the 60s and onwards, political music movements were also growing in the US, specifically the punk movement. Punk is the most closely entwined musical movement with politics. With bands like Rage Against the Machine, Dead Kennedys, and Anti-Flag, it's hard not to see why. Which frequent use of politically charged lyrics targeted specifically at young people. A perfect example is lyrics from At the Movies by Bad Brains. This form of communication allowed teenagers and young people to understand politics through the songs that topped the charts, such as American Idiot by Green Day, referring to the idiocy of post-9/11 wars, with lyrics like, "Now everybody do the propaganda and sing along to the edge of paranoia. Welcome Moreover, Billie Joe Armstrong, the lead singer of Green Day, stated, "There's a lot more to punk rock than just a catchy song. It's a deeper thing about community and connection, and I think we're still part of that, driving home the point of the communication found in punk music and culture." Many punk artists have also posted personal statements on their social medias relating to politics, directly communicating politics to their audience. Punk music isn't the only music genre that communicates heated political sentiment. Latin rock, especially during the 70s, echoed a similar sentiment. The political events at the time, such as the Vietnam War and workers' rights movements, reflected in the music, and similar to punk, this music communicated socio-political sentiments to young people. A perfect example is Calle 13's Querido FBI. The lyrics, really drive the point home. Furthermore, in the wake of the hashtag #MeToo and hashtag Time's Up movements, there have been a surge in feminist anthems. Angry 2 by Lola Blanc is a perfect example, with lyrics like,
"Never seem to wonder why another and another ask each other, does it get your blood boiling? Does it make you see red? Do you wanna destroy it? Does it get in your head? Does it get my blood boiling? And I'm coming unglued. It would eat you like poison. If you knew what I know, you would be angry." Calm down, girl. Why you so mad? Why's your heart gone writing this all good, girl? Why you upset? Guess they have forgotten what they did. Does it get your blood?
there is an undeniable feminist ire in the song. Moreover, she stated in an interview to L'Officiel USA, "Angry 2 was my way of dealing with all this rage that surfaced when the hashtag #MeToo outings were peaking." And while lyrical music has dominated popular music in the 21st century, that doesn't mean we should underestimate the use of classical music to convey political sentiments. In a 2019 panel discussion, Political Music, Musical Politics, a discussion panel with Samuel Adler, Maria Grenfeld, Aaron J. Kernis, and Catherine Lakuda, who are contemporary classical composers. Mr. Aaron J. Kernis states, "My second symphony was very influenced by watching the media's portrayal of the new weaponry that was being used in the Persian Gulf War and various mega bombings. This element of tragedy continued in pieces like Colored Field and Lament and Prayer, which started as a reaction to genocide in Bosnia and grew into a response to the Holocaust, and more generally, the relationship between various kinds of genocide that had been perpetuated through the 20th century. Western history has had a lot of change over time, but music as a form of communication which eases the understanding of the masses has remained a continuity. The concept is best summarized by Sabrina Henderson in her thesis, Punk is Political, when she states, "The music spoke to me on a variety of levels. However, the messages have gotten more explicit over time, and music is communicating socio-political ideas more than ever."